Artemis here, founder of Sovereign Training Systems. I help leaders become reborn into limitless energy so they don't have to chase trendy traps, biohacks, and bags of supplements, and your business is no longer costing you your health or high performance. Today's presentation is about energy. It's about vitality and charge. Why biohacks, adding more supplements, more protocols, more biohacks is not the answer when you're seeking alignment, coherence, and capacity. I see so many leaders today looking to increase capacity with AI and stimulants and supplements and biohacks, but they lack coherence and alignment. And if you don't have alignment, coherence, before you build capacity, you will oscillate, you will break down, you will collapse under the force of capacity without alignment. So how do we understand these principles, alignment, coherence, and capacity, to get more energy? And when do we use biohacks? Things like red light therapy, oxygen therapy, cold plunges, neurotropics, micronutrients, all these things are out there. And if you listen to this right now and you're a leader or you're a high-performing dad or mom, there's two reasons you don't have energy. One, you don't understand the cause of your fatigue as a leader. Number two, you're doing the right things in the wrong order because you're trying to use stimulants, biohacks, supplements, protocols. And the question is not what do I need to add to my life to create more energy? The question is, where are you leaking power? And where do you lack alignment and coherence? That's the most important question to ask. More is not better for a leader who lacks capacity. Alignment and coherence is essential to understand first before you start stacking biohacks and supplements. And remember, I've been a biohacker for 25 years. I have the training of 4 doctors. I have served over 40,000 people. I have helped so many people heal chronic diseases. I am a master at hydration, mineralization, oxygenation. I'm trained in oxygen ozone therapies, red light, cold plunge, Ayurveda, Chinese medicine. I get it. It's all out there. But you might be chasing shiny objects because you lack alignment and coherence, and that's the problem. Adding more is not always a solution because of neurological stress, where your body has been adapting to a survival pattern in your leadership. We'll talk about these patterns in a sec. But if you try to use a biohacking or a supplement or a protocol on an already discombobulated, dysregulated nervous system, you get a little bit of results and then you get pushback. You get a little better and you get a little worse and you start to oscillate. So no matter what you do, the juices, the cleanses, the red light, the cold plunge, nothing seems to hold when your nervous system is dysregulated based on the survival patterns of the mask. So as a leader, there's some masks that we wear that cause dysregulation of our nervous system. And what these masks do is they help us build skills as a leader. So if you're the people pleaser, you learn how to love and give care. If you are the hero and the rescuer, you learn how to get stuff done and save the day. And you go out there and really make a difference in people's lives. If you are the protector, the guardian, you're really good at controlling and directing people and keeping everything safe and secure. And you put other people's needs before your own, and you protect, and you're dependable and you're reliable. But when you, and then there's the perfectionist. So the perfectionist is always in control, always looking at the right things in the right order, never feeling capable enough or perfect enough inside. So you're always looking for the perfect plan, the perfect program, the perfect protocol. And you're so good with details and you just get everything done. And yet your nervous system starts to break down with these masks. Remember, in Sovereign, don't increase capacity before you have alignment and coherence. And the reason you're out of coherence is because of this neurological imbalance we call survival of the hero, the people pleaser, the protector, the guardian, the alpha. These masks we carry, the perfectionist, these masks that we carry start to dysregulate our nervous system. Sometimes you've been holding the line for others for so long that you don't realize how long you've been holding it until your body begins to suffer. If you're the protector and the guardian, your nervous system is the battlefield. If you're the hero, the alpha, the overachiever, your body becomes the battlefield. Where literally what got you here won't get you there as a leader until you come into alignment, which means you have to take this mask off. You have to understand, and for more information, check out the Sovereign Power Quiz below this video so you can understand where you're leaking power, where you're carrying this load, and how you engage with your life. This is, a lot of leaders get assessed in numbers and performance and money and bottom line and, conversion rates and all these things. But Sovereign Training Systems is a holistic assessment on leadership. Sovereign Training Systems is a holistic assessment on leadership, where you're actually assessed holistically through alignment, coherence, capacity, and then your whole life begins to transform, because for the first time as a leader, you're no longer holding the line for other people. It's the first time in the leader, you're letting go of the need for it to be perfect. You're letting go of your value in what you do, and you realize your value is in who you are as a leader. You don't need to be the hero anymore. You don't need to be the overachiever. You don't need to be the people pleaser, the perfectionist, because when these things are unveiled and you step into alignment and your nervous system starts to regulate and come into alignment, which is presence, which is self-directed, self-guided, there's a soul that emerges. It's a beautiful process. When a leader goes through this unveiling of the mask, some of you are sedating right now, and the pain of growth and leadership is so uncomfortable. God's calling you to rise, but the mask is so heavy that you're sedating it with THC, alcohol, pornography, drugs, music. Some of you are being called to rise, but you've been drifting because you lack clarity. And you lack clarity because the mask is on top and it's covering things up. Some of you are going through a tunnel right now, between the ages of 38 and 58, where you just start waking up one day and you question everything in your world. You're like, what's it all for? Why am I even here? Was this all worth it? Like your identity, which is the mask, the ego, these are the same things, different words for the same thing. It begins to peel away and dissolve. And you wake up one day and you begin to question yourself and everything. I went through this at age 40, and I'm 47 now on the other side. And man, I wish I'd known this understanding of alignment, coherence, and capacity. But, everything has a purpose under heaven. I had to go through my pain of being the hero for 24 years until I could take it off and have a rite of passage. This is the beauty of stepping into sovereign power and sovereign alignment, is that when you come into alignment, you unveil the mask, you start sleeping better. Your nervous system starts to recalibrate. You start digesting and absorbing better. You start assimilating your minerals. You start absorbing more. You start receiving life. Remember, if you're a leader, you've been giving, and holding the line for others. You actually blocked your capacity to receive support, receive help sometimes, and receive your nutrients, receive life. Think about that. As a leader, you hold the line for so many others for so long, you stop receiving. That's a big problem. Because as a leader, we need to be filled to overflowing. With alignment comes soul activation, where your vision, your values, and your purpose express authentically, effortlessly. And when you have alignment and you build coherence through the 7 forces of life, through sovereign health, where you start matching your vital force, your alignment, your soul with nutrition, hydration, mineralization, oxygenation, and you start doing the biohacks at that point. Once you come into alignment neurologically, your neurology builds your biology. And when your neurology and your biology and your attention, which is soul, all line up, you have infinite capacity to build your legacy. You still have to sleep. You still have to rest. You still have to repair and regenerate life through hydration, mineralization, circadian biology, oxygenation. And as you're doing these things, they're more effective because you have your neurology in the right place. So With alignment comes neurological balance. And then with coherence comes biological vitality. Biological vitality is coming into alignment with coherence. It's alignment with the expression from the soul to the body, from neurology to biology to expanding legacies, to building kingdoms. That's the essence of sovereign, because so many of us as leaders have been using our bodies at the expense of life and business. We just think that the energy is inexhaustible, that we have an infinite amount of adrenal reserves. And if you've been using caffeine and stimulants to push through your day to get to your kingdom, eventually you climb the mountain without alignment and coherence, without neurological, biological balance, and you crash and burn. And you go pay a coach to try to repair what was lost. Now, wherever you are in your leadership, just know that coherence is possible. Even if you crashed and burned, you can rebuild your neurology. You can recalibrate and come into alignment again. Unveiling the mask is key. Taking the mask off is so important, because if you are wearing this unconsciously, you're in this hypervigilant state. You're always trying to keep things perfect, trying to save other people, attracting victims, trying to be the hero, trying to make everything else work without truly listening to the soul and awakening the soul, which is emerging through this mask. And when the mask comes off, you're not changing what you do. You're becoming more of you, and you're shifting architecture. If you're constantly trying to use biohacks and adding more supplements and more stimulants and more biohacks to get more energy, you don't need more energy. You need to shift your orientation and architecture of how you're choosing to lead from alignment and coherence. This is the power. This is the distinction, is that when you stop looking for more and you start shifting to architecture of leadership, how you're orienting to your reality, and come into neurological and biological alignment, coherence, and orient to self-guided, self-directed, sovereign, and free. To be sovereign in the sovereign training systems means to have power and authority over your domain, to have power and authority over your sovereign nation, to be whole unto oneself, to be aligned and aware and coherent in your thoughts, words, actions. Your branding, your marketing, automation comes from the soul, not from the mask, but from your true self. You emerge, you erupt from authenticity. You penetrate your world, and you start showing up for who you really are. And as you enter with that power and a clarity, the whole universe responds with amazing reciprocity from being sovereign, from being whole. You see it in leaders out there. And then you might be asking yourself, why am I so tired? Why am I so exhausted? Why don't I have the energy I used to have? Why don't I have the clarity I used to have? It's because you carried the mask for so long and you outlived it. And now it's time to be reborn into limitless energy by coming into alignment, coherence, and capacity. Now, once you have alignment and coherence through sovereign training systems, it takes about 4 months. Neurological repatterning. We do a lot of work on the nervous system, the constitutional homeopathy, and the core 4 healing modalities, and hydration, mineralization, mineral priming. We start to rebalance the whole body, mind, and soul. We get your soul hooked up in your body, hooked up with your vision, with your values, with your orientation. You shift orientation, which then transforms your architecture. And then you start leading from a new orientation and architecture. I call it the sovereign architecture of leadership. When that wakes up and that comes alive, this is so cool. Now everything you're doing works better. The biohacks work better. The protocols that didn't give you results in the past start stacking. When you come into neurological balance and you're not living on adrenaline, and the adrenaline leaves your body, you're sleeping better, you're waking up more refreshed. Now, when you start doing a rejuvenating protocol, like breath work, like red light therapy, like oxygen therapies, these things are restorative. They're rejuvenative now because you've achieved neurological recalibration. You've come into alignment. So many of you leaders out there who are chasing bags and supplements and biohacking and not stacking results, you're oscillating, you're getting good and worse, better and worse. It's because you lack neurological alignment and coherence. And therefore, you will never have the capacity you truly want as a leader. Some of you watching this right now are ready to build kingdoms. Some of you watching this right now are ready to build your legacy. You've had the success. You're ready to take it to the next level. And yet there's something missing. You're trying the supplements, the biohacks. You're doing the nootropics. You're even pushing caffeine and stimulants. That's a big no-no. I'll do a whole nother presentation on that. You're pushing caffeine and stimulants. And your capacity just gets less and less and less and less and less. And then you want to contain this power. God's calling you to rise and build your legacy. And you don't have the alignment capacity or the alignment and coherence to do it because you can't contain power, the power to serve who you're destined to serve with the mask unveiled until you have neurological alignment and coherence. That's the beauty of this formula of understanding and the beauty of the mask, unveiling the mask, and the insight you need to take this off and step into nutrition, into hydration, mineralization, solar radiation, oxygenation. All of these things work so much better when you have alignment and coherence. Now capacity can grow. Now as a leader, you can actually do more with less. You actually have more flow in your business. You're actually able to architect more flow because you're recovering better. You have alignment, coherence, your flow is improving. Guess what happens? Now that you're architecting flow, you're 500% more creative, according to Flow Genome Project. 500% creativity, more creativity in flow because you have alignment, coherence, greater recovery. Now you're creative more. Now you're producing more. Now you can grow your capacity. And with capacity comes containment of power, where the power of God comes into you and through you. With capacity and containment. Some of you have been successful and then crashed and burned, and been successful again because you couldn't contain the power, because you didn't have alignment and coherence. The true power to serve God and to build kingdoms comes from the soul and alignment. It doesn't come from the mask, and it doesn't come from the ego. The true power to serve God and build kingdoms comes from the soul, expressed through alignment, coherence, and then coherence helps expand capacity in incremental steps. And then through coherence, capacity, we have containment. And through containment, we can harness the power of God through us and through our business. And this is a whole formula. Like I've invested 25 years and 55,000 hours of training to understand how these things are connected. Neurology and biology with the soul, and alignment, coherence, capacity, containment. Understanding how alignment and coherence connects to your biology, your biochemistry, the biophysics, through the 7 forces of life. These are all first principles. These are first principles of soul, of mind, orientation, architecture, of biology and biochemistry and biophysics. These are all interconnected to actually give results, to help leaders come into alignment with the sovereign power, to come into coherence with sovereign health, and to come into a new architecture of leadership with sovereign leadership. So my name is Artemis. I'm founder of Sovereign Training Systems. Thank you for watching this video. Look below this video for the Sovereign Power Quiz, so you can get connected more to where you may be leaking power. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.